Again, you were the victim in this. And like, yes, like you are working through it, but there's never like, we're never finished products, any of us.
For sure.
And we all come into relationships, whether it's friendships, work, intimate relationships, with our own story.
Ooh,
Bing, bang.
Wada, wada, bing, bang.
Ooh, wait. Wait, what is it?
Is it ooey?
Ooh.
So, ooh, ee, ooh, ching, chang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ching, chang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Is that it?
Yeah, I think.
I know about that witch doctor now.
I know.
That's just going to be stuck in my head now.
Right?
Good luck. Get me to focus.
Wow, she's gonna be singing
Now that you got the
song
witch
entire
doctor?
time.
Ooh,
Is that what that's from? Is a witch doctor?
Yeah.
It is. I called the witch doctor.
What did he say?
I don't know.
Did he say ooh ah walla walla bing bang?
Is that what he says?
Something like that.
It's the witch doctor talking. I gotta listen to the
it's the
song
witch
again.
doctor.
Yeah, so I don't know this song at all that you're talking about.
No? Yes,
No.
you do.
Yeah, you
You
do.
know
I
the
don't.
sounds.
Said ooh, ee, ooh,
Ching, chang.
Walla walla bing bang.
Ooh, ee,
I
ooh,
just have heard it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's all about the witch doctor.
I
What is
don't
a
know
witch
really
doctor?
what it is either.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Is that like voodoo?
Hoodoo?
Voodoo. You do.
Hoodoo.
This is our podcast now. We just rhyme.
Witches are a crazy thing.
Witches,
Like, what were we watching that had witches in it?
a lot of things. We
Practical
watched the movie
magic.
The Witch. We
Practical
watched
magic.
Practical
That's
Magic.
what
That was
brought
it.
up the
Hocus
actual
Pocus.
conversation.
Well, we haven't watched Hocus
witches.
Pocus yet this season.
Right.
We haven't.
Normally, you have to watch it once.
At least once.
Yeah.
Just like Christmas is Elf, you know? There's standard movies.
See, Elf isn't my Christmas go-to movie. Like
What
the Santa Clauses.
You like
Yeah.
that? You also like the Christmas Story?
No,
Nope, not that one.
no. I'd actually
Vacation.
don't. Yeah, Christmas
Christmas
family vacation.
Yeah, that's a good one. I dig it. Yeah.
Christmas Story is you'll shoot your eye out with Ralphie. The little,
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever watched that entire thing.
My older
I
brother
have.
loves it. That's his favorite.
Really?
Santa Claus, I've come to appreciate a lot more as an adult.
Because you get like those inside like jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just way too early to start talking about Christmas.
Okay,
That's
let's
true.
let's
Let's
back it up.
stop.
We were
Let's
talking
stop.
about
We were talking
practical magic
and
and how that
witches.
brought up witches and how like people actually were accused of being a witch and you didn't need proof.
Yeah.
You could just be like, they're a witch, and then they would be hung.
Hung.
Well, that was one way. They had a ton of different ways to test if you were a witch, right? There was one laying down, and they'd stack a lot of stones on you until you died. But if you didn't die, they'd be like, "Told you, that was a witch." And if you did die, they'd be like,
Were people
bad.
just
Our
dumb
bad.
back then?
people were very fearful. People
Yeah.
were very, you know, a lot of them were Christian, and anything that went outside of the pale, the idea of like when you would start a new colony, or you would maybe not a colony, but like you would start a new village, one of the first things you do is put a fence around the entire perimeter to protect yourselves, right? And a good way to make sure people are doing what they're doing is tell them scary stories about what's beyond the pale, what's
Witches.
beyond, you know,
Yeah.
the comfort of this fence. So it would get people to do what the leaders wanted them to do.
Yeah, that's
because you'd
true.
instill fear in them.
That's true.
It's a bummer way to live, though. A lot
It
of people
is.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
lot
glad
of
that you
people.
can be a witch now. And it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I feel like there's all kinds of witchy women out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have friends that are witches.
Yeah, totally.
Your family, you got some witches in there.
I feel like my mom's part witch.
She
All
is.
right.
Yeah.
Where my witch is at? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Love it. So what else we got going on this week? What have we been doing?
Yeah, a little recap. It's been busy.
Yeah.
We've been, it feels like nonstop.
Yeah. We did get to go to that really cool little restaurant this weekend
We did.
in, what is that city called?
Evergreen.
Evergreen, Colorado.
Beautiful.
We're going to live there. That's what we've decided.
That's our new goal
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful
dream
there.
in life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the little town's super cute.
Shout out
And-
Murphy's, huh?
Yeah, that Murphy's restaurant place was so good.
Best burgers.
Yeah, that burger was fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sweet potato tots. I'm a sucker for sweet potato fries and tots.
I got the Brussels sprouts but then I just burped for like 20 hours afterwards. So I'm not going to do that again.
Babe, that's why I didn't have like any of your Brussels sprouts and why I never order Brussels sprouts, because the taste is fire.
They're so good.
You put some honey siracha on it, some like
so good.
salt. What is that? Sea salt on it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the beans.
But
The
the
beans.
indigestion.
Yeah, can't do it.
It's
Can't do
gnarly.
it.
Yeah.
Killer.
We have been getting a lot of messages from people, from all of you fine folk, like kind of suggestions for the podcast, which is really awesome.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
We're going to make an episode about pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I think so.
So keep them coming. Very helpful.
But one we've been getting a lot is, well, like maybe 3 or 4 times we've gotten a message about kind of my transition from going from being a lesbian and then going into this relationship one, and then also being bisexual now, which is a good question. I'm sure that does happen a lot in this kind of situation. And I'm sure everyone's is unique to them.
Yeah.
With me, I mean, I identified as a lesbian, I think since I was like 14. That's when I came out and I was like, yeah.
You.
That's what I'm into now.
So prior to that, did you ever like have crushes on boys, or was it mostly on girls? You just were like, okay,
I feel like it was both. Like I definitely had like Brad Pitt on the wall, you know, a little Devin Sawa.
I don't know that one.
I don't either.
I think you would know him if you saw.
Is he in Wild America
Oh,
with
man.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
No, I think he was in like Final Destination.
Like the original.
The original.
one?
I don't know if you're old enough to see that. or
Okay,
not.
I got really into the Final Destination movies at one point, which is like, and I was young for them because they got like,
They're scary.
they're scary, and there's like, yeah.
Yeah, so I had guys on the wall, and when I came out to my mom, she actually was like, "What? No, you're not. Like, you have dudes all over the wall. Like, what's going on?" But that's how I identified. That's how I kind of went on in life, pretty much.
So you never had like a relationship with a boy, with a male.
Yeah, like junior high, maybe like, you know, little boyfriends that like lasted for a week. You know what I mean? Crushes, stuff like that.
The usual.
But you were attracted to males like early.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I still found them attractive. But I think just the thought of like any more than that just wasn't there for me. Like me personally, I have childhood trauma from, you know, abuse that happened to me when I was younger by a close male, like family friend, which I'm sure has a huge part in me identifying as a lesbian for so long.
For sure,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So that was kind of just, I mean, I did address it. Like I went to therapy here and there to deal with it, but mostly I just kind of buried it and treated it with, you know, alcohol for the most part. So going into this relationship, I knew I was attracted to men, at least in a sexual way. Like that was there. But I didn't think that this was going to form into what it formed into.
Yeah.
So then when it did, there were a ton of things I think that came up from my past because I was like, you know, being with a man, I had to like open myself to that when I hadn't in so long. So for our relationship, I think in the beginning, we would all agree that like there were definitely a lot of bumps because of that. And it took a lot of like us peeling back different things with me for us to get to where we are now. And I think a lot of times with our social media and the stuff we share, it seems like, oh, like it's just like this fairy tale, which
Yeah, I mean, social media usually does put on that, I don't know, mask of it.
yeah,
Not that we're like on there faking, because that part of it is true, but there's like 90% more of our lives that we don't share on social media that it just doesn't get shown.
well, there's a lot of stuff that I can't share in a 90-second clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why kind of we created this podcast, so we'd have more of a platform to kind of
Peel back those layers
yeah,
and
like
go a
try to
little deeper.
relate to people and have people be able to relate to us, and hopefully we can learn from others and they can learn from us, like by doing this.
You know, you were expecting this to just be a little bit more physical.
Yeah.
maybe not go into the relationship. When we first started, we did have some growing pains because there were a lot of things that surfaced as a result of you being in a relationship with a male.
Yeah, so I was just like so much more comfortable being with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I was like at ease. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like this fear that something was going to hurt me, which is what I realized coming into this, and then being faced with it was like, oh shit, like you have so much stored like trauma and baggage that you haven't. So I'm so sorry I brought that.
I don't look at it as like baggage. I mean, you were a victim of something at an early age.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is it okay to talk about around how old you were?
Yeah, I mean, it happened kind of throughout my whole childhood from, I mean, different instances with different people from like 8 to 13.
So, I mean, 8 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild for something to happen like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a child.
Well, and then if you don't address these things and you don't actually deal with them, and then you go into a relationship, like you bring that with you and you don't know what's going to trigger it until you're in that situation. So I think that's something we bring up a lot with this kind of relationship is like really look internally before you go into a relationship with anyone, with a one-on-one even.
Yeah.
But like I'm kind of the one who learned all the lessons like the hard way. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I am in general. That's how I live my life. Like I'm just,
It's true.
like I'm just a big pain in the ass. So
I wouldn't say you're a pain in the ass, but you do like to learn things the hard way.
I do.
Like we've had many conversations of like, when we first started dating, I'm like, I'm not going to live long enough to learn all the mistakes other people have learned. So I like learning from other people's mistakes so I don't make that mistake.
I'm like, mm-mm.
And you're like,
What?
hold my beer.
Yeah. I'm like, what will happen if I leave my backpack in my car?
Yeah.
What will happen?
Yeah. Or I don't lock the car.
Break in.
Yeah. Someone will break the window and take it. Noted.
That's what
I'm not
happens.
going to do that again.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like that. But yeah, going into this, I think I wouldn't regret going into the relationship with you guys. I love you guys. I think we worked through things and, you know, it was maybe harder than it needed to be in some areas, especially for you guys. But in a perfect world, I would have said, oh, okay, I have this. Like I need to take different actions to deal with this before I put these things onto somebody else, which Kevin, I put a lot onto you because of it, because I was terrified that I was going to be hurt. And at first I didn't understand it.
I didn't understand it either.
Like it was just, there was just this natural wall that was there that like it was up real high.
But it makes sense, right? It's kind of also amazing of how the body, what's that book? The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah, yeah.
It remembers and it protects you. So you were creating inadvertently, maybe, or subconsciously creating these defense mechanisms to prevent you from any of that trauma to resurface, to like hurt you again. So I don't think that's anything of your like fault. I know we don't hold it against you by any means, but
Thanks.
yeah, of course. Again, you were the victim in this. And like, yes, like you are working through it, but there's never like, we're never finished products, any of us.
For sure.
And we all come into relationships, whether it's friendships, work, intimate relationships, with our own story. I don't want to use baggage because like we are all bringing stuff from the past.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
You could say everyone has baggage.
Yeah,
Like
but
some
baggage
people
has
have
like
cool
a
stuff
negative
in their bag,
connotation.
you know what I
And
mean?
like this wasn't anything that you did negative.
Yeah.
You were a victim.
Yeah.
And you just were dealing with unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
And I think being in a relationship like this, and especially with a male, it brought to light and to the surface all those things that have been suppressed and buried.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I feel like we got through it. There were some rough patches.
And I don't think there's ever like I'm saying there's not a finish line. Like you're going to continue to work, unpack things, grow, learn. So will I. So will Alana.
Yeah.
What was like? I mean, we just raise your right hand, say muskrat, whatever. If it gets too like deep, into a topic that you're uncomfortable with, but when you first started dating us and you were in a relationship with a male for your first time, what was like the hardest part about that? Because you would express that you would get this like surge or like wave of emotion, or like...
That's the thing, is like it would almost be more physical sometimes than it was mental, to where like I would literally feel like heat like build up in my body, in my head, to where I was like panicked and I would like want to like run away. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I would just like leave. You'd be like, oh, there she goes.
Where the hell is she going? What is happening?
Gotta put a leash on this one.
We weren't even fighting.
Yeah, I just take off.
Looked at me wrong and...
Well, and I think that's growing up, like depending on how you handle things. Like I dealt with a lot of things on my own. So if something would come up, that's kind of what I would go back to, is like, okay, I can go do this on my own, because that's the way I've done it. And I think there are things when trauma happens to you as a kid, like it does kind of stunt your growth emotionally. Like I think there were areas where I still felt like a child in those situations and didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So
I do think like there have been studies showing that that is the case. Like you just didn't know how to, like you didn't properly emotionally develop in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in all aspects of your life, just in certain areas.
Yeah.
It like sent you back to 8-year-old Megan or 10-year-old Megan. Yeah.
Where it was just like escape, shut down, and that's it.
Where like, and not to put you on the spot or anything, but like when we've had arguments in the past of stuff, like emotionally, it was hard to connect with you.
Yeah.
And it was hard, like, because I felt that wall. And that's something we had talked about of like, we're never going to get to that level of a trusting, loving relationship if you're only keeping me at arm's length.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
like,
I think, I did that with you for a long time. Not as much, I don't think, with Alana. I don't know.
which makes sense.
Yeah. Again, like you felt more comfortable with a woman.
Yeah.
And that was such an interesting dynamic of our relationship, because I was more comfortable being with
A man. Yeah.
So then I was still like navigating how to be with a woman.
Right.
And so it was just this like little
So I think that
circle we were going in.
was a big part of the transition, was going through that, which I know we're going to, there's still things I have to work on in that area, and I probably will my whole life, and that's okay. It's just how I decide to, more that I don't put it onto others is, you know what I mean? The thing that I've learned more.
Well, and I think your willingness to continue working on that.
Yeah.
Because you could just be like, nope, I'm not going to open that Pandora's box.
Right.
Like, we're just going to leave that in the past. But then that's just going to affect your entire future. So you being like, I want to conquer this and wanting to get past that for the sake of, like, yes, this relationship, but also for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's anything that anybody's going through. Like, you do need to kind of do something for yourself first, like, and take care of it.
They do say that you can't love others until you truly love yourself.
I think RuPaul said that. And
RuPaul.
that's right.
I will say though, like through the journey of our relationship and hearing more about your past and you opening up, I mean, you've talked to therapists, you've read books, you've done a lot of personal development since I've been in a relationship with you, and we've had difficult times because I didn't always respond as well either, because I've never been in a relationship that a partner had trauma like that. So I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm not treating you like, you know what I mean? It was difficult for me to grasp for a while, which didn't make the situation easier.
I hadn't, just even outside of trauma or that coming in, like I hadn't been in an argument with a partner who was a male, which it's a totally different response than how a female
in
would.
Like which way?
We're like, I don't know. I feel like women are just a little like softer when it comes to things normally, and like are just more emotional in responses rather than more of just like a logical thing, which sometimes logical can come off as
insensitive
or harsh, even if it's not meant to be. But like
love, baby.
It's just our brains are very different. And I continue to see that. Like with me and you, it's funny. But I think aside from that part coming into this kind of relationship, as a single person coming into a like established relationship, I think the hardest part is not feeling like you're left out. Like it's very easy to fall into that. No matter what the other people are doing, you can like victimize yourself and make yourself feel left out, even if they're not doing it. But it's also, you have to remember how comfortable the other two people already are with each other. They can't help that. You know what I mean? And I think that I struggled with at times in the very beginning, just because you guys were so comfortable. And that alone made me feel like, oh, fuck, like I'm not a part of this.
Yeah. And we've talked about that, like even in our relationship today, because we are all on the same level of where our relationship is. And we talk about that. If you're ever feeling left out, to speak up and let the other two know, because they don't know. And so it is on that one person, but coming into an existing relationship, it is a whole nother animal than just like where we're already at with all three of us comfortable. Yeah. And I think a big part of that was on Kevin and I to be active, like actively thinking about that and putting ourselves in your shoes of how it would be as an individual coming into an existing relationship.
You guys did really well with that.
Thank you.
Thank
we really tried. I mean, we care about you and love you so much. And just, we're both like empathetic people. And so it was easy for us to put ourselves in your shoes and be like, yeah, that would be hard. Or like, yeah, at this stage in a relationship, normally you're not at this comfort level, but since we already are, we have to kind of like get back to that because we're working on our individual relationships with you.
Yeah. I mean, even in the very beginning when I moved in, like you guys had a queen size bed.
Yeah.
Which does not fit three people comfortably. So,
unless you're hobbits.
Or you sleep like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
like
not the case for any of. I have to sleep
Yeah.
in a 4 formation personally.
You do with your arm up.
That's just how I like it.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning, like we had that blow up mattress and it could have like very easily you guys like kept the bed and me done the blow up mattress. Like
like we're like you're the stepchild.
Well,
like,
I mean, like in
send
the
her
very
out, get in the
or
freaking
something.
like in
barn.
the very beginning, like, but right away you guys are like, oh, let's just rotate, and we just like one person went on the, or like if it was my night to be out in the living room on the bed, like you guys would keep the door open, like things like that, where it just like made me feel, just more included, even if it was the smallest little thing.
Yeah,
I was just thinking back to the initial blow up bed. We had a twin and we put it next to the queen bed.
Yep.
But then it popped at some point because we were having to walk over it, and
It would like deflate in the middle of the night.
We had a
and
very
for
small
context
apartment.
too, like for the people listening that don't know where we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, 600 square feet, and like a king bed barely fit in.
Oh yeah, it like took up the whole room.
Once we got it in there.
Yeah.
So when we tried to put the blow-up mattress next to the queen size, like the only way to get in and out was at like the foot of the bed.
Yeah, you had to like
the
just
sides
lay
were-
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's so
tough.
funny.
Yeah.
but then we got the big, gigantic, like it was this tall queen size match that we put in the this size tall.
This size tall.
This tall.
This is giant, as you can see.
Yeah.
This is how I measure as a female. And we put it out in the living room, and then we had a sectional couch. And when you had your ACL surgery, you slept on the couch because that was more comfortable, easier to get in and out of. And I think we both slept on that air
Air
mattress
They
mattress.
would
at that
like sleep
time.
on the air mattress, not in the bed, just to like be next to me, which is so cute.
It's also a little bit selfish though. We did want to be next to you.
We did.
We love you. It wasn't just to keep you company.
I appreciate it. And you refilled my ice
Yeah.
all the time.
all the time, all the time.
But I will say, Megan, like coming from the background that you came from and all the work that you've done, it's definitely made me more attracted to you and fallen deeper in love with you, because I've seen so many opportunities where you could have just packed your bags and been like, fuck this, it's too much work, I'm out. Like, I'm just going back to girls, or
I want to be lesbian.
I don't want to deal with this because it's uncomfortable, it's scary, it's uncharted territory. Like, diving into your own mind and subconscious, bringing some of that out and releasing it is not for the faint of heart. You know, it takes a level of courage and vulnerability to share with us. And I just, I admire you. I'm in love with you. And, just the level of attraction that I have has grown throughout the years, watching you overcome these fears, these traumas, releasing them, and just growing as a person. So I appreciate you not giving up on this relationship,
Me too.
not tapping out. I know you both can agree that sometimes I am not the most empathetic, compassionate, and my logical mind kind of wiggles its way to the front. So I appreciate you dealing with that with me, with all the emotions and all the, thoughts that get brought up when you are working through trauma. So I'm really proud of you. I love you, and thank you.
I love you guys too. Thanks.
I also love you, and I don't know if I could say it much better than he just did.
You could try.
Ditto.
Ditto. Done. But I do really appreciate you, like he said, sticking it out for this relationship. And also I appreciate you being vulnerable with us and this podcast and being willing to share that. I know that's tough. It's tough to share that with the world, but there are unfortunately a lot of people that have gone through similar situations. So hearing from others, I think, could be really helpful. And I love you a lot, and I'm really happy that we've made it to this point, and we're going to keep on going.
Let's go.
I did have a question for you, though. Being in this relationship and being your first time in a relationship with a male, having somebody like Alana instead of like a friend, right? Because I would imagine, I was a cheerleader and I worked in an OBGYN for 4 years, that girls talk, and they talk a lot about, oh my God, guys talk too, but not like girls talk. It's a different kind of talk.
Like gossip?
I don't want to say gossip, but maybe talking about situations that their husband or boyfriend said and getting feedback from.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is you had that with Alana, who was a friend, but also your partner.
And also with you.
And also with me.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you could have a conversation about a partner or something like that, and you tell your friends can give you advice, but only from their perspective of what they know about this person.
Yeah, and what they're hearing
from you.
Yeah.
But in this situation, like, you were there involved in some of the situations. You also have been with me 3 years prior, so you do know how I operate, but you've also been with other males, so you are more familiar with the way men think, the way men handle situations. So what was that like, having like a female partner going through that?
I mean, honestly, I think that was a big help in it, because I could have very easily just like talked to, say, like you said, like a girlfriend, and just like bitched about this, that, and the other thing. And they could have just fed that fire rather than being able to talk to Alana, who could see it from the other side and still understand me, but then help me piece it together in like a positive way, and like help me work through it, not just like I said, like fuel a negative fire.
And I didn't mean it when I said girls talk like they bitch. That wasn't what I was talking about.
Well, we do.
Okay, all right. Hey.
Just kidding.
I was just meaning like just talking about a situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I think that's like a perk of this kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Is you can get that perspective from somebody who actually knows your partner on an intimate level, which is very different, which is a whole other subject to go into.
Right.
Yeah, because I was able to see how he was responding to certain things, or how things would come up for you. And like in a still sensitive matter, tell you like, that's not the case. Like, I know him and how he operates. Like, that's not actually true, which is like, it's still a hard thing to discuss on my end with you, because I've never gone through trauma like that. So in being able to juggle like understanding your feelings and where you're coming from and still giving you that validation because what you were experiencing, like those feelings were real.
Yeah.
But then to also tell you like, this is like actually the situation and like he's not doing that or he's not saying it in a way that's meaning that, you know?
Yeah.
So it is a very different dynamic because it's going to sound like I'm trying not to say this because it's going to sound so conceited of me. But in this situation, it could have been way easier for you to say like, no, I'm not going to continue with this relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
But in being able to help give you that insight, I think it did help.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are so conceited.
I'm so
Yeah, I was
full.
like,
I
did
got
Alana just
my
say
head
she's the savior
is
like
this big.
Jesus Christ?
I have risen. And
No, I totally agree with you. All jokes aside. Yeah. No, this dynamic's pretty sweet.
It's pretty cool.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it.
I dig it. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys.
I appreciate you and I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, babe.
I'm also proud of you and I appreciate you.
Right back at you both.
Nice.
Love you guys.
Nice.
I love you guys too.
Love you too.
Also, we love you guys. We were talking about that today and we're like, what are we loving this week? And we're like,
Yeah.
it's been so cool. Like all the feedback, all like the questions, all the support like we're getting from people that are watching the podcast. We've only ever really released really short form, like silly stuff. So doing something like this, we weren't really sure of how it would go. But
Yeah.
like, I'm really enjoying the process and learning about this and learning about you guys. So yeah, that's what I'm loving.
Me
I
too.
love that. I'm also loving that and just appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out, for watching our videos, for subscribing. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Let's go. But yeah. All right, guys. You ready to lights out this podcast for tonight or
Light it
what?
out. Yeah.
Light it out.
Just for everyone, I'm also loving all the feedback and positive comments that we're getting from you all. It helps us a lot because none of us ever had an intention to be on social media, to be all out. It was more of our friends saying, hey, our perception of what you all had was very different than when we met you. So if you go online and just kind of be yourselves, be silly, joke around, like maybe other people will see that too.
Yeah.
So thank you for the support because it does give us the courage to start new endeavors like this, like the book.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we're having fun with it. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Bye,
but back to
campers.
the lights out.
Lights out.
Lights out.
Peace, guys.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye.